All right, I decided on a name for the show. It's called Billy Bob's News Blast. And the way I came up with the idea was I was talking to Mitzi on the phone a little while ago, and I tape recorded our conversation so I could play part of it today here for you on Billy Bob's News Blast. And I think I'll just start right off with the Mitzi interview and show you how we came up with the name.
Okay, let me see here. I'll just dial Mitzi's number here. There we go. Hope she's home. This will be fun. Our very first interview on Billy Bob's News Broadcast.
Hi, Mitzi.
Well, hey, Mitzi, how you doing? This here's Billy Bob.
Billy Bob, happy Saturday night.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're home, because I'm doing this little news broadcast, and I told all my listeners I was going to try calling you tonight.
Oh, well, you got me loud and clear.
Well, good. You're actually the first one that's ever been interviewed on Billy Bob's news broadcast.
Oh, well, I'm honored.
I don't even have a good name for the show yet. I just call it Billy Bob's News Broadcast. What would be a good name for it? How about, what do you think? Got any ideas?
Billy Bob's Blast of a Newscast.
Billy Bob's Blast of a Newscast. Okay.
There you have it. Just a little while ago, Mitzi suggested it, and I turned it around a little bit and just made it a little shorter, and there we have it. Billy Bob's News Blast. I like it! I like it! I like it! Okay, well, let's get on with Billy Bob's News Blast. Hey, we'll have more of that Mitzi interview by telephone there in just a little bit, but right now let's get right to our top story. Our big story here today is the face transplant. The face transplant that took place last week started off on Thursday. That was the week after Thanksgiving. We heard the story. Surgeons in France have, for the first time, performed a partial face transplant. The recipient of the transplant was a 38-year-old woman who had been severely disfigured after being attacked by a doggy. In a brief telephone interview, DuBernard said the two surgical teams grafted a nose, lips, and chin from a donor who had been declared brain dead on the woman's face.
Wow, that's almost unbelievable, Billy Bob.
Yeah, it is. And hospital officials said the woman who received the transplant did not wish to be identified. Of course, if you don't want to be identified, one of the best things to do is to get a face transplant, because, who's going to be able to identify you? Well, it says here, the face transplants are among the most disputed frontiers in transplantation science because they are so risky and because no one can predict what a patient who receives a transplant will look like after the surgery. All right. Now, a couple days later, on Saturday, the face transplant has been called marvelous. So just 2 days after we got the story that they had occurred, now they're saying it was absolutely marvelous results. And we're very excited about this. It says the doctors say the results of the daring surgery are beyond what they had hoped for. The news story from Lyon, France, that's Lyon, as she held up the mirror to her new face, the woman looked at her reflection. She paused. Unable to speak because of the breathing tube in her throat, she wrote a note that said, Merci.
Merci, that's French for thanks a bunch.
And then she cried. And her doctor and one of the surgeons cried too. They were all a bunch of babbling crybabies in there looking at her picture and her reflection in the mirror, and they're just so excited. It says the results of the daring nose, lips, and chin transplant, the first ever attempted, were beyond what the doctors had hoped for.
Yeah, I heard it really turned out good, Billy Bob.
It says the new face bore an uncanny resemblance to her former face, one doctor said.
Well, duh.
The 38-year-old divorced mother doesn't want her identity known.
She's probably trying to hide from her creditors.
No, I don't think so. Rolf, it says here that that she had been mauled in June by her dog, a Labrador Retriever mix adopted from a rescue shelter. And the lower half of her face had been ripped off.
What?
Yeah, and I heard that it was the lady's own dog, and it attacked her in her sleep.
I find it pretty hard to believe that a Labrador Retriever, one of the most lovable dogs in the world, would attack its own master in her sleep.
Yeah, unless she's using raw hamburger to rub on her face before she goes to bed at night. I hear that's good for the heartbreak of psoriasis.
It says before Sunday's operation, the woman couldn't chew her food, she had trouble speaking, and whenever she tried to drink something, most of the liquid dribbled from her mouth.
Hey, that reminds me of this guy.
Hey, shut up, Earl. I don't have trouble speaking.
I rest my case.
Get a load of this. It says 8 surgeons, led by Dr. Bernard de Vauchel, sewed the blood vessels in the woman's face to those of the donor tissue.
Wow, that's technical. I like technical stuff.
Yeah, and then they connected the nerves and the muscles, and then sewed the lining of the mouth and the chin from the nose to the chin.
Well, now it's starting to sound like any old seamstress could have done the job.
Well, yeah, and it says when they finished and they were washing the skin and applying the dressings.
What, are they going to eat it?
No, that's a medical term. There was a big silence in the operating room. We were all surprised because the immediate result was completely outside our expectations. It looked marvelous.
It looked great.
Yes, we're so excited, and I don't know why we're excited, but we just are.
Well, we're excited about the medical breakthrough and the possibility that we can put another face on you, Rolf.
Hey, my face is very attractive, I'll have you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
There is simply a small scar around the outside of the graft. All the other scars are inside, in the mouth, in the nose, and a small scar in the neck.
Sounds gross.
Dovachel said the team was totally stupefied by how perfectly the transplant was integrated into her face in terms of the color and the thickness of the skin.
Yeah, that's a good reason for them to be stupefied, but what's your excuse, Rolf?
Hey!
The woman already has some mobility in the new tissue. She can now eat, drink, and speak clearly. Dovachel said that it will be 6 more months, though, before the nerves start to regenerate, and it's too early to tell how natural the transplant will look. But the doctor said they are very optimistic.
Yay!
Yeah, that's a good story, Billy Bob. I think that was a great headline story. It gives us some hope for the future that other things can be transplanted, if you know what I mean.
All right, well, that's our lead story. It's a story about a very extreme makeover. And I think we're going to be hearing more about this. And, of course, you can find the latest and the greatest about the face transplant here on Billy Bob's News Blast. Beep, 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 beep. Next story. Okay, now, not all of our stories here have a happy ending, and sometimes we have to report bad news as well as good news here on Billy Bob's News Blast. So I hope that's okay with everybody out there, but, sometimes the news ain't all good. But when we hear about it, it teaches us a lesson and sometimes teaches us things we need to know or be aware of. The story goes, the teen with an allergy dies after boyfriend's kiss. That's so sad because here she is, a 15-year-old girl. She had a peanut allergy, and she died after kissing her boyfriend who had just eaten a peanut butter snack. Well, her name was Christina Desforges, I think, and it says she died in a Quebec hospital last week after doctors were unable to treat her allergic reaction to the kiss the previous weekend. Christina, who lived in Saguenay, about 155 miles north of Quebec City, was almost immediately given a shot of adrenaline, which is a standard tool for treating the, I can't pronounce this word, but it's like anaphylactic, I think I did it, shock brought on by peanut allergy. Well, darn. The symptoms of peanut allergy can include hives, plunging blood pressure, swelling of the face and throat, and that can block breathing. Peanut allergies have been rising in recent decades. The cause remains unclear, but one study found that baby creams or lotions with peanut oil may cause children to develop allergies later in life. Well, this story hit close to home here because when old Billy Bob here and Looney Bird were performing with the Rockefeller Explosion back in the 80s, we had a member of our performance group who also had a nut allergy, and I found out about it, and I couldn't believe it, all the stories that she told me. So I thought, well, this would be a good time to get her on the phone and talk to her about allergies and maybe educate some of our listeners out there as to what these allergies are kind of like. Now, you heard the first part of that interview at the top of the news blast when she helped me decide on the new name for the show. Well, let's continue with the interview here and find out what Mitzi has to say about peanut and nut allergies.
Hey, Mitzi, we decided that you'd be a good first person to call, I guess, mouse here to call, because we're doing a story here today on our newscast about allergies, and specifically peanut allergies. Did you hear that? Did you hear that story about that 15-year-old girl who died, like when she kissed her boyfriend?
I heard about that. I didn't actually read the news story, but I heard from someone. They sure it was me, and they knew that would mean something to me. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I'm allergic to nuts.
That's what I remember that. I remember that from the showbiz days. You told me about that. Fill me in. Fill our listeners in on your allergy.
Well, I'm not allergic to peanuts, I thought I was allergic to peanuts just because I thought all nuts were in the same category, but it turns out chemically peanuts are a legume, so they're different.
Oh.
But I'm allergic to all nuts except peanuts. And I don't really like peanuts because they kind of give me the heebie-jeebies like I'm eating a regular nut.
Ooh, the heebie-jeebies.
I'm allergic to those, but I'm allergic to all other nuts. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty ugly.
It's funny you should mention the heebie-jeebies because we talked about the heebie-jeebies on last week's broadcast. Well, gosh, when did you find out you were allergic to nuts?
The very first time I ever tried a nut, because when you're a baby, you don't really try nuts.
No.
I first tried a nut when I was about 3 years old. I was following my granddad in a buffet line at a party, and I got hold of a nut, and I got rushed to the emergency room because it closed up my throat and I couldn't breathe.
Oh, my, for heaven's sake.
And
My word.
I was so scared, and the doctors told my family that I had a pretty severe allergy and that I could die from it if something, if I didn't get treated right away or if I ate too much of it. But the nice thing about your body is Mom lets me know right away when I've actually taken a nut in. From the second I put it in my mouth, I end up spitting it out.
Well,
I still get sick from it, but I don't get as sick as if I had just sat there and eaten an entire piece of pecan pie.
yeah. Did you have any other emergencies when you were growing up with nuts?
I had a ton of emergencies, and I've even had emergencies as an adult.
Oh, my.
And it's really embarrassing because I've even had them whenever I've had shows.
Yeah?
I've had to endure an entire show and run back and forth off stage and be sick. It also makes me break out into big old red splotches.
My goodness, I don't think any of our listeners, none of your fans probably knew about this.
Well, if you were in Marin, California back in 2000, you would have probably figured it out because my eyes, they get all bubbly, almost like they're bulging out of my head. It's really ugly.
I bet you sing just as good. But
I'm really embarrassed. Well, they're in the same room with me. They put mixed nuts out on cocktail bowls.
Yeah.
Out in tables and lounges.
Yeah.
That makes me sick. And it's a pretty sensitive allergy. That makes me sick, and my husband can't eat nuts around me or near me. We don't keep them in the house at all.
So here around Christmas time, all those nuts that people eat at Christmas time, you're not one of them.
I'm not one of them, but it's funny because people give them to you as gifts, people who don't know.
Yeah.
They give them to you as gifts, and I'm always like, thanks a lot, they're trying to kill me, but I usually keep my mouth shut, but somebody in my family will say, don't you know she's allergic? And most people that are close to me realize that I'm allergic to them, and even when we do bookings in our what's called a technical rider, they tell you what kind of microphones you can have, and they also tell them don't have nuts anywhere near.
Well, for heaven's sake. Of course, I was thinking of a lot of jokes I could tell about nuts and stuff like that while you were talking.
And even when I talk about it, sometimes it's kind of hard not to have the double entendre.
All them double entendres, we were thinking of them, but we didn't say them. I was biting my tongue here.
Really, Bob, I've heard them all.
I'm sure you have. And
Hey, I have a couple of jokes I'd like to make about the nuts.
just go roast your nuts somewhere else, Rolf. Never mind, Rolf. He's inappropriate humor.
The funny thing is that people don't believe it until they actually see me have a reaction.
I bet that's not funny at all.
No, it's not funny, but it's funny later on. I mean, I'm willing to sit back and laugh at how horrible I was on any given night that I have a nut allergy. If I order a salad and it comes out with seeds on it, people are like, no, send it back. And so that's the hard thing about nuts, is they can hide nuts, including peanuts, in almost anything. And that's what's tough about it is one time I had a grilled chicken sandwich and had a bite of it and said something about this has nuts in it. And sure enough, somewhere in the bun it had nuts in it.
Well, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, they just hide it in all kinds of stuff, and you have to be extra careful. And they wrote a little thing in Japan. They gave me a little slip of paper in Japanese to tell the kitchens in Japan, because they really don't speak English very much in Tokyo. They don't need to, because there's so much their own society and their own culture that I had to give them a slip of paper when I was visiting overseas to tell them that I was allergic to nuts.
I see. Well, Looney Bird's got a question for you. It was a letter written in from one of our listeners.
Right.
And Looney Bird, go ahead with that. Alrighty, this is sort of a letters to Looney Bird thing here. And it says, I understand that Mitzi has a nut allergy. And I would like to know, Mitzi, how did you feel when kids were eating candy bars and nuts around you? Did you want to throw it in their face?
Well, it's funny because when a food has a nut in it and I can see the nut, it's totally disgusting to me. It's like, it's so much like Pavlov's dog, it just makes me sick to look at it. So
Yeah.
I'm into foods that have nuts in them.
Yeah.
But if I can't see the nut, like, 2 nights ago, my kid handed me a Hershey bar from her Halloween basket.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the label, and I took a bite of it, and the second I took a bite, I realized it crunched and spit it out.
Oh, my.
So yeah, sometimes it still snags me because I want to hang out and just be normal, and then I realize that I've broken the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, occasionally I would get jealous if I couldn't see the nut, any side of a nut, and I just go, ugh.
Do you keep a syringe filled with any kind of like counter serum or something that you need?
You know, they gave me drugs for it, or, you know, they gave me some type of very strong prescription antihistamine for it when I was probably in my late teens, college years. It didn't work. It didn't do anything for me. And so I blew it off. But now I hear that there are all kinds of newer things that they can do for me. But I don't know, maybe I just like living on the edge. I haven't done anything about it.
Have you tried Nuts No More?
That's not real.
Sure it is. You can look it up on the on the internet. Yeah, Google it. Nuts No More. You'll find it on there. It's for people with nut allergies. You know, I always did have a crush on you back when we were playing in the Rockfire Explosion, Mitzi.
Aw, you're sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause you know, you were like the prettiest one of all of them.
Oh, that's because I was the only girl. Slim pickings there, Billy.
It was slim pickings, I have to admit. But fortunately, I ain't the only one. We've been hearing from a lot of people that really loved you when they were growing up, Mitzi.
I've gotten a lot of really cool emails, and feel free to keep emailing me, guys. It's great.
Do you have anything you want to tell the fans before we go? And we'll call you again, but what would you like to tell everybody here before we take off here today?
Well, just about Rockfire in general, it's kind of cool because when I was doing it, I was a kid, but I didn't realize how amazing and even sophisticated and intricate a lot of our music was. And even now, I go back and I listen to it, and some of it is just
Are you sure you were playing with the Rockfire Explosion? What?
Abbey Road for a kids show it was just kind of a little bit a cut above. It was a lot a cut above what normal kids shows were, and for me it was just part of daily life. But as I look back on it, it was good stuff. So
I remember I thought that was kind of weird myself when the boss came in and he said we were going to be doing Abbey Road, the whole second side of Abbey Road, and it had to be perfect. It had to be note for note, just like the record. And I looked at him. I thought, you're nuts. Yeah, you're right. We did kind of have to. We had to push the envelope. We were being pushed around like slaves there by a slave driver, if you ask me. And but anyway,
with all creative people and all creative processes, and it's cool when you find fans out there who can appreciate what you're doing and not buy into it. So we appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, we certainly do. And Mitzi, I want to tell you, I really still appreciate you because you're one of the best friends I ever had.
Aw, thanks, Billy Bob.
And we're going to call you again sometime, okay?
Okay, and good luck with your new show. How much fun is that?
Okay, well,
Show.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So that was Mitzi. We called her today just for your fun here on Billy Bob's News Blast. And we got a bunch of other news stories here we want to get to, so and I know we're running out of time. Well, the Dutch have unveiled a pilot program to regulate pot farming. A broad coalition of Dutch political parties unveiled a pilot program on Friday to regulate marijuana farming on the model of tobacco, which opponents say would be tantamount to legalizing growing the drug. Well, Billy Bob knows a lot about growing tobacco because that's what they do here in Tennessee, where I'm from. And under the test program to be conducted in the southern city of Maastricht, they're not very strict in Maastricht, I'll tell you that. The existing health and safety standards will apply to growers, but they would no longer be the target of police raids or prosecution. Well, they're pretty forward-thinking out there in the Amsterdam area, so we'll have to see how all that goes. It says coffee shops permitted to sell marijuana would be required to provide consumers with information about the health hazards of smoking.
Yeah, like they do here in the United States. They say, smoking is hazardous to your health.
Yeah, so be careful and don't inhale.
Yeah, like the President of the United States once said he did. And, they also have to tell you what the chemical content is of the marijuana.
How do they do that?
I don't know, I suppose they serve it up on a dish and say, hey man, this here's some really good stuff. Well, anyway, under current Dutch policy, marijuana and hashish are illegal. But the police don't prosecute for possession if you have less than an ounce.
How much is that?
I don't know, loony bird. Why would you ask me? Ask Earl.
What you looking at me for?
No reason, Earl. We just thought maybe you'd know more about that than the rest of us. Let's move on to the next story here. Video game gore sinks to a new low, cannibalism. Yep, here's another story that just kind of like makes you sick. The first of its kind is on the list of media in Watch Dogs 12's games to avoid. So here's the games that you should not buy for your kids this Christmas or for yourself. Video games glamorizing guns and violence have long drawn the ire of media watchdog groups this holiday season. They have something else to hate, and that's the bloody new wrinkle to hate itself, cannibalism. Yes, cannibalism. Featuring graphic scenes of cannibalism, FEAR and Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse were among 12 games to avoid, listed Tuesday by the National Institute on Media and the Family. In Stubbs the Zombie, the lead character eats the brains of humans as blood splatters across the screen.
It just makes you sick. It just makes you sick.
It's just the worst kind of message to kids, said Senator Joe Lieberman. Y'all probably remember him. He ran for president or vice president or something. They can be dangerous to your children's health. So anyway, if you want the names of the games not to buy this year for Christmas, they posted them right here in the newspaper for everybody. It's Blitz, the league, has scenes of football players hiring prostitutes and engaging in drug deals. That's one. And then there's Doom 3. That's a bad one. And then Resident Evil 4. And, of course, the classic bad game of all time, Grand Theft Auto. So, there's something for everybody on your shopping list.
Yes, I'm going to go right down to the store and not purchase any of those terrible games.
Good, Rolf. You're finally setting a good example for everyone. Let's see, on our next story, it says that the title is The Bell Ringer Foils the Kettle Theft. Yep, over in St. Petersburg, Florida, Salvation Army bell ringer Carly Marr White wasn't just going to sit there and let a thief run off with his red kettle. So the 69-year-old retired waiter got up and ran after the thief, who was decades younger than him, and, he was a little heavier, perhaps 100 pounds. But White grabbed the heavy kettle out of the surprised thief's hand, and the man yelled a curse and got in his car and sped off.
What was he doing, trying to steal the Salvation Army's money, huh?
Yes, that's right, Rolf. He sure was. It's a terrible thing, when a man's out there volunteering his time and people are giving their money, and then some little creep just comes along and steals the whole kettle. Anyway, so White, who had already been ringing the bell at his kettle for more than 8 hours before he was hit on Monday, thinks the thief just underestimated him. He says, by the time he got to the car, I was right there with him. And I got to the car right when he did, and it shocked him. White settled the kettle was stuffed with maybe 20 pounds of dimes, quarters, and pennies, and he estimated it had more than $200 in it. Well, old Billy Bob thinks that was a good thing that White caught the guy, but we don't really want to be chasing thieves like that. I mean, you could get hurt, and it's just not worth it. And that's basically what the Salvation Army told all their people. They said, keep an eye on your kettle, but don't chase anybody if they steal it, okay, because it's just not worth it. Hey, our next story here, banquet guests misbehave. Yes, a Thai hotelier hosts an annual feast for monkeys. And what they did, this is kind of crazy, this is in Thailand, and it was a party that they throw for all the monkeys in the city. And it's thrown by this local hotelier who's thankful for the business the monkeys bring to his city. But they call these monkeys long-tailed macaques.
It's a long-tailed what, Billy Bob?
It's a macaque. They're regarded as disciples of the Chow Pho Phakarm, four-armed deity whose likeness is enshrined in the heart of the town.
I don't understand.
Well, here, maybe you'll understand this part. The monkeys can be seen dropping peanut shells on the street vendors from building ledges, relieving themselves off of awnings onto curious onlookers, and making merry on the electrical wires as they use footpaths as they roam the city.
Making merry on electrical wires.
You heard 'em, Rolf. They're making merry on electrical wires.
Even on their special day, they behaved badly.
Duh.
3 monkeys swarmed 5 teenage girls carrying bags of fruit to the temple, causing them to run screaming into a telephone booth.
Well, what were the teenage girls doing walking through the town with a bunch of monkeys carrying fruit? You know how monkeys love fruit.
Yep, it says 1,000 human onlookers gathered to watch the monkeys eat 3 piles of fruits and vegetables beside the ancient temple where they live. But by the time they erected bleachers and the sound system was put in place and they had all their dances before the monkeys were to come to town, it says all the monkeys pretty much took off and there wasn't too many macaques in sight.
That's to be expected.
The crowds and the noise scared them all off except for 1 or 2 dozen brave ones who stuffed themselves, leaving a terrible mess. So if you like parties where monkeys are invited, just Thailand about this time of year next year, keep it on your list. Let's see here. The Avery Soda Pop Company has come out with a gross soda pop, and they're letting kids name the soda pop and mix it all up. They got 3 new flavors: swamp juice, toxic slime, and dog drool. It's so disgusting. So disgusting. Get it?
I get it, Billy Bob. Soda. Disgusting. So disgusting.
Avery has been bottling pop for 101 years, and they just launched these flavors in July to rave reviews from its target audience, 10-year-olds. So anyway, you want to have a little fun and buy something gross, you can get some of that gross, so disgusting soda. Hey, here's a story about birds, Looney Bird.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
It says the earliest known bird-like animal shows it had feet like dinosaurs. It's a finding that adds weight to the belief that birds frequenting backyard feeders today are descendants of the mighty ancient carnivores. That's right, dinosaurs. They're your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy, Looney Bird.
Yeah, we birds come from a tough lot.
Yeah. And, hey, did you hear the story about the 100-pound woman who won the turkey eating contest? And it's a question just begging to be asked. How much turkey can a person shove into his or her mouth in 12 minutes? A group of competing American eaters assembled at Artie's Deli in New York and gobbled down 10 pounds of roast turkey just to find out. The judges ruled that 100-pound Sonia, the Black Widow Thomas of Alexandria, Virginia, was the winner of the $2,500 prize.
How much turkey did Thomas eat?
Well, it says here she ate a total of 4 pounds, 3.1 ounces. And she said she took the name Black Widow because she likes to eliminate the males in her eating contest.
Yeah, well, that's good. It has another double entendre, though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, her other records include eating 65 hard-boiled eggs in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Can you do that, Looney Bird?
Heck no, Billy Bob.
Well, maybe we'll get her on the phone and interview her sometime. That would be a lot of fun. That's the kind of stuff Billy Bob would like to do on his News Blast. And says here the SeaWorld amusement park here is celebrating their arrival of a baby killer whale. And guess how much the whale weighed?
I can't imagine.
Hey, let me take a stab at it, Billy Bob. Whales are pretty big. I'd say the baby whale probably weighed 100 pounds.
More.
200 pounds?
More.
300 pounds?
That's right. The baby whales tipped the scales at 300 pounds. And they didn't know the gender quite yet when this story came out, but I think later on they decided it was a girl. So a real cute little 300-pound bouncing baby whale. SeaWorld Orlando. And, there's a couple other interesting stories here I thought I'd let you know. That some man here is accused of stealing $200,000 worth of Legos. This guy really has a problem. It says the agents had to use a 20-foot truck to cart away the evidence from a suspect's house. Mountains of Lego bricks. William Schwanberg, 40, of Reno, Nevada, was indicted by a grand jury Wednesday accused of stealing thousands of dollars worth of plastic building blocks from Target stores. Target estimates Schwanberg stole up to $200,000 worth of the brick sets from stores in Oregon, Utah, Arizona, and Nevada, and California.
This guy was really on the move.
He must have been driving around with a truck, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know how he did it, but man, he must have a Lego Jones that won't quit. I would have loved to have seen what he built with that thing.
Sounds like another phone call.
Well, yeah, but this one will have to be a phone call to San Quentin. Maybe we'll go visit there and see what's going on. That would be fun. We'll have to see what that is, because this guy really has a problem. Maybe he'll get out on temporary insanity or something. But you know what? We're going to finish the News Blast today with a story about a bear. And, I have a soft spot in my heart for news stories about bears, and especially one like this. It says, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, a black bear bit and clawed a hunter who had just shot it 4 times.
Let me get this straight. So some guy shoots a bear 4 times, and then the bear, who didn't exactly get killed, he bites and claws the hunter.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really blame the bear, Billy Bob.
I don't really blame him either. And if you just got shot 4 times and you were able to do it, I think that it would be considered self-defense to bite and claw the person who was shooting you. Because, maybe he's going to shoot you again. You can't just keep turning the cheek if they're all full of bullets. It says here, Samuel Beauchamp, 47, was approaching the downed 320-pound bear in Rothrock State Forest in central Pennsylvania on Monday, the first day of bear hunting season, when the bear came after him. Well, old Billy Bob says he serves him right, and they ought not be out there shooting bears. I mean, it could have been my brother or your sister or somebody, or could have even been Rolf in a bear suit.
Well, now that wouldn't have been too bad.
Well, all right, that ends another Billy Bob's News Blast for another Saturday. So we'll see you again next week right here and tell you all the news that's worth reporting. Looney Bird, take us out. Beep, 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 beep. That's all, folks.